Updated March 22, 2019, 3 hours 3 minutes and 20 seconds for Aiden Padilla. Landing admission to a top-ranked U.S. university is a sign he'll be successful someday. He knows a degree from a prestigious college is virtually an express ticket to America's middle and upper class. The 17-year-old future engineer labored through a dozen advanced classes, joined extracurricular activities and took a job to help his parents pay for test prep books and application fees. It takes a lot to get into top schools, he said. If you're willing to put in that much work just to get in college, then you'd be willing to put in that much work for your career in the future. That's what makes you successful. There's something distinctly American about Mr. Padilla's belief. Whether it's the rags-to-riches victories of Steve Jobs and Walt Disney, or the glittering facades of Jay Gatsby and Donald Trump, the country has long envied and aspired to the self-made man. But an unfolding college admissions scandal has many Americans questioning whether the land of opportunity is increasingly beyond reach. Shocking details unite Americans in outrage. More than 50 wealthy Americans, including actresses Lori Loughlin and Felicity Huffman, were arrested last week for bribing the officials at top universities in exchange for their children's admission. The unseemly affair unearthed a trove of shocking details. The FBI, tipped off during an unrelated case, found that the parents funneled money through a fraudulent charity that claimed to help underprivileged kids attend college, paid adults to take their children's tests, and even photoshopped their kids' faces onto athletes' bodies. Some were pretty cavalier about it all. Ms. Huffman used the term "bro" in an email about plans to commit fraud. The reaction on social media was swift, fierce and oddly unifying. Americans from both sides of the political aisle shared details of their own struggles with college admission and frustrations with a rigged system. The irony of college admissions in the U.S. is that it's the great equalizer in theory, and in principle, it's the great stratifier, said Richard Reeves, a senior fellow at the Brookings Institution who studies inequality and social mobility. It actually is quite true that if you get to go to a good college, and get through, your life chances are transformed. The problem is, who's going through? For many Americans, the scandal confirms fears that the country's upper class is stealing opportunity from the rest of the population. It's also a serious challenge to the pull yourself up by the bootstraps belief that an American's success or failure is theirs alone. Even without bribery, the wealthy have an advantage. The U.S. prosecutor on the case said there can be no separate system for the wealthy. But the separate system already exists. Putting outright bribery aside, there are two levels of unfairness to the college admissions, Mr. Reeves explains. First, Reeves said, assume two candidates are equal in talent, but the admissions counselor is blind to their economic backgrounds. They're still going to skew towards the most affluent students, Mr. Reeves said. They've been to better schools, they've paid for private tutors. They look better prepared for the race before the race even starts. Some of the elite colleges fight back against this kind of bias with affirmative action programs designed to preference those with disadvantaged backgrounds. But not all U.S. colleges have to publish data on this, so it's tough to gauge whether it's working. The second level of unfairness is like bribery done in the light of day, Mr. Reeves said. If the parents of an applicant have made donations to the college, they will receive preferential treatment. There's also legacy preferences. Most of the top schools offer a non-trivial leg up to relatives of people who went to the college themselves. Taken together, these factors have caused a giant schism in a college admissions system that outwardly claims it's based on merit. One group of researchers found that students from the wealthiest 1% are 77 times more likely to go to a top school than those in the bottom 20%. The 70% of Americans who go to college know and understand these things. But they play into the system anyway because they believe that a top college degree ensures success. Success these days is about status, not just money, as critics have noted. What's most striking about the scandal is that the parents involved all had the means to secure admission advantages via those unfair, yet accepted, routes. Lori Loughlin, for example. She made millions for roles such as the affable Aunt Becky on the hit sitcom Full House. For Loughlin, there's no significant economic edge to be gained by sending her daughter to college. Loughlin's social circle and fame alone were enough for her daughter, Olivia Jade, to land a cushy gig as a beauty influencer when she was still in high school. "I don't know how much of school I'm gonna attend, but I'm gonna go in and talk to my deans and everyone and hope that I can try and balance it all," she said in a 2018 YouTube video. "I do want the experience of like game days, partying. I don't really care about school, as you guys all know," and in case there's any doubt about her privilege, Ms. Jade was literally on a millionaire's yacht when she heard the news. Just as Loughlin's daughter didn't need a top college degree to be wealthy, Loughlin, with her wealth, had other options to get her daughter into a good school. She could have paid for tutoring or made a contribution to campus building like the rest of America's upper class. Her motivation for the alleged bribery, one could guess, would be to avoid the visible display of privilege. She, like some of the other accused parents, didn't even tell her daughter what she'd done. Ms. Jade's life of luxury is one many Americans would resent, but with a prestigious college on her resume, it had appeared to everyone, including herself, that she earned that life by her own merit. Social mobility to remain a hot topic. If Americans can't pursue social mobility through college, where can they? Is there any shot at social mobility at all? And if there's no shot at social mobility, no realization of the American dream, what defines America? Americans would never have pegged Aunt Becky as the harbinger of such an existential questions, yet here we are. As the country continues to reconcile dreams with reality, expect politicians to surface infinite new ideas. Social mobility will likely be a major theme in the 2020 election, just as it was in 2016. If they're united in their frustration over the root cause, Americans will be divided by the suggested solutions. Democrats will likely call for some level of government intervention. You'd expect the Republicans to push for the free market to run its course, although the Trump administration recently announced a proposal aimed at curbing college tuition rates. Mr. Reeves says that while it's definitely the responsibility of colleges to take action, the collective weight of individual choices would make the most difference. "One of my calls is for those of us who are in positions of power and affluence with lots of advantages that we could deploy cease to do so at some level," he said. "Let's refuse to do the legacy game. Let's refuse to do the donations game. In other words, focus less on looking like a self-made man, and more on being a good citizen." Mr. Padilla said that he and his fellow high school students couldn't help but talk about the scandal. "It's outrageous, but it seems like no one is surprised by it," he said. "People said to me, jokingly, 'Oh, is that what you did?' But he's not mad. He doesn't feel like it undermines his own accomplishment. And what does he think about those students who got in through bribery? I think they can still be successful," he said. Of course, anyone can. Topics: University and further education, world politics, United States. First posted March 21, 2019, 6 hours 0 minutes and 34 seconds.